2042, 2042C Pro, 2044, 2047. If you're hearing all these numbers and you're starting to get a bit stressed, it's normal. It's tax time, and tax time in France means lots of different numbers on lots of different forms. It tends to send us all into a bit of a panic, and it's understandable because tax time, we kind of want to get it right. You want to tick the right boxes. But whereas for a few, getting advice is the right way to do, for the majority of us out there, it's a question of going into our last year's declaration, making the modifications, and then pressing one or two buttons and it getting out there. So really the idea today is just to do a call just to demystify some of the tax declaration problems, and just to let people know that, you know, it's just paperwork once again, and that there are ways around to modify it if you make a mistake, which it does happen, of course. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Tracy Leonetti, and I am a paperwork expert here in the south of France. So today we're looking at a few of the tax documents. Obviously there's a huge amount of information, lots of documents that you can use, but your local tax office is a good place to go if you really have a difficult situation, or of course get expert advice. So it's paperwork, and paperwork at its best. Let's take a look first of all at the very base document for tax declarations in France. It's a 2042. So if you're new to tax in France, if this is your first declaration, this is what you start with, is a 2042. And this document you can get from your local tax office. They will not send it to you if it's your first declaration. You have to go and collect it. Bear in mind, it's not available in the tax offices until the end of April. So normally it's probably next week it's coming out. However, you can get it downloaded from their website. So it's the government website, www.impot.gouv.fr. So if you go to the government website, download 2042, that is your base document where you put the details of yourself, your partner, your children, your salaries, and it will be a base for all the annex documents to go into. So that is the first place, the 2042. Then basically, of course, you have to think about the deadlines. Now, if it's a paper declaration, which it will be if it's your first declaration, it's the 17th of May, midnight. And believe me, it's important the midnight. I have seen years ago when I came here and we was rushing around doing our tax declarations, people popping up to midnight to put it in the post box at the tax office. So midnight on the 17th for a paper declaration. Of course, if you do it online, like a lot of people are now, you can do this up until the 23rd of May for the departments from 01 to 19. So the 06 where I am, the deadline is the 23rd. From the departments 20 to 49, it's the 30th of May. And of course, the lucky people, departments 50 to 976, you have until the 6th of June to get your online declaration done. So online declarations, you have a later deadline. Paper declarations, it's sooner, and for first people you have to do it on a paper first. From the second year onwards you can do it online. Okay, so that's just a general overview of the first one. The next document that causes lots of confusion and lots of questions is a 2042C Pro. So this is really aimed at people who would not have salaried employment. So your auto-entrepreneurs, your micro-entreprise, your furnished rentals, for example, would be using the 2042C Pro to declare their revenue for 2016. So what I've seen a lot of the forums at the moment is about the déclaration fiscale. People are panicking and questioning the déclaration fiscale for auto-entrepreneurs and micro-entreprises. The déclaration fiscale is a good document to get. However, you can make your tax declaration without it, okay? So if you're an auto-entrepreneur and worrying you haven't received it, it's kind of normal because the RSI and the SF don't always send them now. Everything is pretty much online. If you're commercial or service-based, it's the RSI, and you can get it from your RSE account online. If you don't have an RSE account online, it's quite simple. You go to the RSI website with your social security number and you can set up an account and download your déclaration fiscale. If you're libéral, so you're consultant type based activity, that's with the ERSAF, and that is on the Net Enterprises website. If you've got an account there, you can go in and get your attestation. And really, like I was saying, you don't actually need this. All you need to know is what you have invoiced and what has come into your business account from the 1st of January to the 31st of December 2016, and what category you're in, BIC, BNC or BA. BIC, of course, being commercial activities, BNC being non-commercial, liberal type activities, and the BA is the agricultural type activities. So if you know what category your revenue is, you know your total amount, you don't need the Déclaration Fiscale. When I was an auto-entrepreneur a few years ago, I never used the Déclaration Fiscale. Okay, so that's the 2042C Pro, which is important for MEs, furnished accommodation, okay? Then, of course, you have the 2044. The 2044 is really the declaration that we'd use if you have unfurnished accommodation. So unfurnished over 15k, that's the declaration you would use. If you're using unfurnished accommodation under 15k, then that would just simply go in the microfoncier on the base document 2042. So that's also a good document to have handy. Again, if you're not sure, you can quite easily go to the local tax office and ask for advice, or get some help out there. Come to LBS, speak to a tax specialist. It's sometimes worth investing in that if you're not sure. For the microfoncier, of course, if you have earning under 15k as unfurnished accommodation, you get a 30% rebate directly on that, okay? The 2047, that's another one. That's the pink form. I don't think you've seen the pink 2047. If you are a resident in France, and that's important, you're a resident in France, but you're having income coming from another country, you would use a 2047 form to let the tax authorities know what money is coming in. So things like people who are retirees, for example, would use the 2047. This is not so that you pay the tax twice, it's so that they know what revenue you have declared, okay? There are obviously double tax treaties, and if you have a complicated international tax problem, then, you know, speak with a professional advisor on that. But generally, for people who are retirees, it's the 2047, and that also gets reported in the 2042. So all of these annex documents feed into the 2042, which is the base document, and there's a complementary 2042 document as well. And if you're declaring online, a top tip would be to open up the annex documents first, fill those in, and then it feeds in the 2042. If you start with the 2042, you often lose the information, so you have to go through it twice. So I'm speaking from experience, of course. So use the annex first before going to the 2042. The other one as well is a 3916. So if you have bank accounts in other countries, you are supposed to declare them to the French authorities. And it's the 3916 document that you use for that. Quite a straightforward document to put in your account details. And once you've done it once, you don't have to do it every year. It's just once when you do it, okay? And I think what's important to remember for tax documents is, I know it's a subject that is very complex, but for me, again, it's about paperwork. It's just ticking a few boxes, and often it's not too complicated. Of course, like I said, you have to get it right. And a good thing to remember is, if you do all your declarations online and then you realise you've got it wrong, from middle of August until the end of December, you can go back into your declaration and change it. So for the majority of the things, you can change your salaries and things like that. So you can go in and change it up until the end of December. And also, if you realise, you know, a year down the line or 2 years down the line that you've made some mistakes, you can go into the tax office and speak to them, and they will change the situation for you as well. So it's not that you can't come back on things you've done, and if you're very upfront about it, they often don't penalise you on that, okay? So again, it's... I would say, as tips, if you've been following my tips this week, make sure you start now. Don't leave it till the last minute. If you've already declared before, it's often a question of just modifying the general information and making any new information in there. For new people, make sure you download the document or pop into your local tax office starting next week to get the 2042. And I think that is about what I can cover, because there's so much information I could give you, but I think it would just make it more complicated for you. Of course, most of you know where I am. I'm Tracy Leonetti, I'm LBS. You can find me on Facebook. And if you have any comments or any questions, do pop them onto my Facebook page, and I will try and come back to you quickly. Or, of course, you can drop me an email, tracy@lbsinfrance.com. Okay, hope you found this interesting, and speak to you soon. Bye.